Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Balaton Park circuit for the opening round of the 2024 season of the Eset Cup series, and alongside it we've got the Suzuki Swift Cup Europe Championship already entering its second race of the weekend. We started out with Suzuki's earlier on this morning, and it's the second race out of 3 for the weekend. Cars getting ready on the starting grid, and it was a great battle earlier on today that we witnessed here as basically the first race here around this track. We already had a couple of races last year towards the end of the race, not race but year. But this year the championship is fully back with full-on homologation, and it's a full part of the championship. Last year it was basically testing around to prove that everything's ready, everything's up and running, and not everybody participated. Now we are here full on, and as you can see, weather's still very nice, although it's getting a tiny little bit cloudier and a little bit windier, but nothing that should really throw us out of our comfort. Let's see what the drivers can do. This is Ton Knappen, who was one of the protagonists in the fights within the top 10 in race number 1, and with reversing of the first 8 positions on the grid, we are expecting him to do nothing else but the same. Let's see if even the lifetiming gets going and collaborating with us. But we do have the cars ready on the starting grid for race number 2 out of 3, as I already mentioned. And it was Moritz Čermej, the 4th placed man of last year's overall standings. That's actually the 2 cars that we are looking at right now. Those 2 fought for victory in the opening race pretty much all through. And it was the car with the blue highlights of Moritz Čermej taking victory earlier on today. From Balázs Hartmann, who was putting the pressure on all through, but then didn't actually manage to come up with that all-important overtaken maneuver. And Moritz Čermej together with Balázs Hartmann sharing the 4th row of the grid for this race. So it is the reversal of the top 8 positions from race number 1, and with that it is Ester Nemeth starting from pole position in the car number 547, the predominantly white car on your right hand side of the picture, and alongside her Zsombor Pinter. Zsombor Pinter lost a couple of places at the start earlier on today, then fought his way back, but then was amidst quite an exciting scrap towards the end of the race, and then in the end finished 7th on the road. That gives him 2nd place for the race number 2, and this is Ester Nemeth in her car number 547. P3 Gabor Foraj 588 alongside Ton Knappen 517. Those are the starting numbers. Row number 3, Fabian Dibionka and István Bernula sharing the row number 3. Balázs Hartmann, Moritz Čermej together on row number 4. And to top up the top 10, Oskar Marszalkowski and Vince Keller in P9 and P10 overall. 11th, Marton Čuzy. In 12th, Bastian Frischmann. In 13th, Michael Mayer. And in 14th, Valentina Mayer getting ready in her Swift 1.4 turbo. And then the starting grid for the 1.6 class, Josef Merck in P17. As we're basically skipping 1 row, so basically 1st place in the class. Alongside him, Egon Burkuš. Behind them, Maciej Šupčinský, Milan Merck, Zoltán Čuty and Boris Lisiecki. And with a couple of beauty shots, we're getting towards the formation lap of the race. Race number 2 at this 4.1 kilometer track, so one of the shortest actually on the calendar, if not the shortest. Basically, Suzuki Swift Cup is pretty much copying the Eset Cup series calendar apart from one round, and that will be later on. I mean, in 2 months we're going to, coming back to Hungary for the Hungaroring round, which is a typical round of the Suzuki Swift Cup Europe calendar. But then, mid-July, we're going to Poland, to Tor Poznań. After that then, a couple of Czech rounds in Most and Brno, split by the penultimate venue. That will take place in Slovakia at the Slovakia Ring. So that is the 6-part racing calendar for the 2024 season. It was an interesting fight for the race victory in race number 1, as I mentioned, between Moritz Čermej and Balázs Hartmann. And even though there was no overtake in the end, it was actually properly exciting, piling the pressure on. Great defense from Čermej, and it basically kept us on our toes all the way through the race. They actually are going to have to overtake someone today if they want to stand on the podium once again, because of course with the reverse grid order they are starting from row number 4, and they have to do all of that now on the track. These are the 1.6 Suzukis forming the back part of the grid in the race of their own. And here along this long straight we're getting back towards the start and finish line through the final tight and twisty sector, this chicane, and a couple of left-hand bends, then back onto the start and finish, well, basically to the starting grid. So we're expecting a little bit more overtaking, a little bit more action from the reverse grid race, and a little bit more of a mix-up. It is of course a quick run to the first corner, which is a right-hander hairpin, always promising lots of action for the start. So Ester Nemeth taking her place at the front of the starting grid, with everyone else following suit. Green flag is in the air and everything is therefore ready to go racing here in Hungary. The red lights are on, the red lights are off, and we are underway with Ester Nemeth from pole position, but not really performing as good a start as Zsombor Pinter, who's immediately attacking down the inside. Balázs Hartmann also sticking his nose around some competitors. There's contact, and it's the race winner from earlier, Moritz Čermej, in the scrap. Now running wide, exiting turn 2, losing a couple of places in the process, so not a great beginning of the race for the race 1 winner. But we have Zsombor Pinter leading away from Ester Nemeth. Gábor Foraj was there in a big fight, and 4 cars fighting it out together. There's also Fabian Di Bionca. There's also István Bernula, Moritz Čermej attacking Ton Knappen. One of the cars cutting across the runoff area. And it's Balázs Hartmann already up into 5th. Great start by the local driver. Another fight for P4, which is István Bernula. And onto the back straight, Hartmann and Bernula. Side by side, Bernula prevailing for the moment, enjoying a little top speed advantage, and hard under braking we go, as presumably Gábor Foraj attacking towards the front. So around the last sector we go. Moritz Čermej making a couple of places after not so great opening corners of the first lap, and across the line we go for the first time with Zsombor Pinter, Eszter Nemet in second, and Moritz Čermej flying past Balázs Hartmann. Ooh, that was really aggressive under braking, and it is Fabian Dibionka attacking Eszter Nemet into the first corner and snatching second from the Hungarian driver. Hartmann in the end somehow managing to stay ahead of Čermej. So Pinter leading from Dibionka now, Nemet in third, Bernula in fourth from Hartmann and Čermej. That is your top six, already pulling ahead from the rest of the pack. It's Gábor Foraj in seventh and Ton Knappen in eighth. There we go once again through the sweeping fast right-hander towards the back of the track. Bernula all over the back end of the car of Eszter Nemet. They are having a fight through the chicane. Eszter Nemet losing places in the process. Now it's Hartmann through. Balázs Hartmann, opportunistic move. And Moritz Čermej trying exactly the same tactic. Both of the predominantly yellow cars on the outside, which is going to become the inside line for the chicane. But István Bernula not really giving in. This is going to be a wonderful fight into the chicane, but Balázs Hartmann having the upper hand and prevailing therefore. Moritz Čermej trying to follow suit. He's going to have to do it somewhere at the end of the start and finish straight. There we go. Back across the line with Pinter leading from Dibionka. Ooh, one of the bollards. Track marshals always reassembling them, bolting them back in, only for them to survive like 2 laps maximum. And there we go. Pinter leading from Dibionka, Hartmann third, Bernula fourth. Fabian Dibionka has just set the fastest lap of the race. He's currently the only one under 2 minutes 1 second, 2:00.891 on the previous tour, as he's getting himself ready to snatch the race lead from Zsombor Pinter. It was the local driver Moritz Čermej taking victory in race number 1, but Fabian Dibionka doing all he can for it to go Polish in race number 2. Reeling Zsombor Pinter in, getting ever so closer with pretty much every single corner. A little lock up into the chicane from someone. We saw smoke in the background. And around the hairpin we go. Pinter from Dibionka, 0.5 of a second away from each other across the line. And there's also the 1.6 class that just hoved into view for a little moment. There they are, led by Zoltán Čuty, Maciej Šupčinský in second in the class. Behind them Josef Merk, Boris Lisiecký, Egon Burkuš and Milan Merk, losing places at the start of the race. And look at that, this is Čermej ahead of Balázs Hartmann already, so he's dealt with István Bernula, and he is now the leading yellow car of the two. So it is Čermej already up on the podium places, and now it is Bernula shooting past Hartmann into fourth. Hartmann dropping down to 5th from Nemet. Oskar Marszalkowski up to 7th. And a scrap towards the back of the top 10, which was Don Knappen, presumably in the fight with Vince Keller. One of the cars in the gravel trap, I believe. If that's what I heard from, yeah. One car is beached in the first, or 2 cars are beached actually. So there was a contact, it's the 1.6 class, and there was a crash in the first corner. We heard that from the ambient microphones, and now it was also confirmed with the footage itself. So there are cars in the gravel trap. This may trigger the safety car. Safety car is out. So we already see the boards around the track. The safety car will come out in order for us to get that crash cleared, and I believe that Istvan Bernula has not really seen that. There we had him from the drone view, and Istvan Bernula, as he swept past one of the marshalling posts, noticed the SC boards, and then he realized why everyone was suddenly going so much slower. So he slowed down even more than that, and basically let Moritz Čermej back past. But he is ahead of Balázs Hartmann, and rightfully so. That happened still on the start and finish straight. So these are Josef Merk and Egon Burkuš, having had a contact with one another entering the first corner. Let's see if we can find some footage of that. In the meantime, it's still Jean-Bart Pinter leading. Look at that. Let's try to see that. It's actually not the first corner at all. It is the end of the first sector. So it's the left-handers where this came together. So the safety car is out, of course. We're having to give the track marshals time to clear the cars, but they are beached quite nicely on the outside of turns 3 and 4. And that is going to take some time, I would say. It's not exactly great news for us. Let's see what kind of equipment, what kind of machinery the track marshals will be able to summon to the scene of the accident. So far there's marshals walking around, assessing the gravity of the situation. And the car number 517, honestly, that roof, and it's actually Don Knappen and Vince Keller. That's Don Knappen and Vince Keller. Those are not the 1.6 class cars. I just thought that I saw Josef Merk and Egon Burkuš making contact with one another, but that's not them. So it is the cars that were actually at the back of the top 10. I was wondering that it happened sort of geographically too close to the race leaders for it to be the 1.6 class, and it isn't. So it's Don Knappen and Vince Keller coming together at the end of the first sector. And has Don Knappen rolled his car? I'm wondering, because that roof line looked a bit strange to me. not at all continuous. There seems to be a quite sharp dent in it, sort of in the middle. And I would even suspect that the car has been rolled. Not really sure. Let's try and see that if we have... we've only managed to catch the final phase of the accident, so not a lot to read into it. Either way, at least we got some information about what happened. So Jean-Bor Pinter in the lead from Fabian Dibionka, Moritz Čermej third, Istvan Bernula in fourth, Balázs Hartmann in fifth, from Ester Nemet, Oskar Maršalkovský, Gabor Foraj, Marton Čuzy and Bastian Frischmann. So that's it, that's the final phase of the accident. We've just ticked over to the second half of the race with a little more than 12 minutes remaining in this race. Okay, so that's Ton Knappen's car. Now we see it from the other side as well, and I think I was mistaken. It was just, I don't know, probably the distance that I saw it from, where the roofline seemed a bit distorted to me. But looking at it from the other side, the door mirror is still in place. The spoiler looks fine, so no signs of the car actually having been rolled over. Not even sure if it touched the barrier. This is the car number 521 of Vince Keller. So these two cars crashing into one another and are being brought away from the scene of the accident with heavy machinery. In the meantime, the rest of the pack still following the safety car and will do so for at least another lap. We're currently lapping in about 3 minutes per lap. So around 3 more minutes for the track marshals to get the track ready. Are they going to make it? Or will we need another one? That's Ton Knappen and Vince Keller discussing the situation already. They don't seem to be into one another's hair, so rather a, let's say, if not a friendly chat, then at least a respectful chat about what happened. We're now driving past the scene of the accident, and it looks like both of the cars are already behind the barrier. One of them already being put on the flatbed truck. There it is. That's Ton Knappen's car. The other one being carefully placed behind the guardrail. Are actually on the other flatbed. So with that, it's going to be done, and I believe that we might even make it in order for the race to be restarted at the end of this lap. So the Manitou driving away. Now the track marshal's already operating behind the barrier, so all seems to be well for us to continue. And that means that we should be able to get those lights off on the safety car by the time we reach the end of the second sector, which is actually, if we drive through the chicane and through the hairpin, that's where the third sector starts. What about the race control's decision? We'd like to see the safety car if the lights are off. We've just driven over the line. They are still on. Now they're off. So, safety car leaving the cars to it. No need to keep the maximum 10 cars distance or 10 cars length distance from the safety car. It is now Jean-Bor Pinter deciding the pace, dictating the pace, and it's up to him when exactly he's going to go full throttle. It's a little bit torn apart, but that's the 1.6 guys keeping the distance to themselves. And Pinter is going to restart the race. It's going green again, 7.5 minutes from the end, and there we go, the race is restarted. And across the line we go. Pinter immediately going defensive ahead of Fabian Di Bionca, who's had a great restart and will be attacking into the first corner. Of course, Pinter choosing the defensive line. The green flag is up in the air. Moritz Chermey trying to look for opportunities. He's won the race number 1 earlier on today, and he might very well fight for the race victory this afternoon as well. No change in the order so far. So Pinter leading from Di Bionca and Chermey. Bernula keeping 4th from Hartmann. But look at that. Di Bionca not managing to get past Pinter, and immediately he's coming under pressure from Moritz Chermey. Down the back straight, a little bit of a slipstream for Di Bionca, and he's launching an attack round the outside into turn 5. Going wide and opening himself up for a potential maneuver from Moritz Chermey. Around the sweeping right-hander we go and into the chicane. This is going to be a hard braking zone. Pinter choosing the defensive line, but Di Bionca immediately attacking him for first. Are they going to fit there into the chicane? Yes, they are. They are still going side by side. Even Bernula looking for a potential opportunity there, and he's trying to stick his car down the inside of Moritz Chermey, not really managing to do so. So still amazingly the order not changed, but it's probably going to happen. And again Di Bionca all over the back end of the car of Pinter, and now he's through, and it's the 2 yellow Swifts currently fighting one another. Contact between Chermey and Bernula. Bernula going sideways but correcting it, and not really managing to get past. Hartmann also needs to hold back a little bit, but he's got already... Is that Gabor Foray already? Or is it Oskar Marszalkowski? Yes, up to 6th. Great restart by Oskar Marszalkowski. He's moved up by 2 places. Chermey launching an attack, and it is Di Bionca leading from currently Chermey. Oh, there's further contact between Bernula and Hartmann. Hartmann with damage to his car, to the front bumper. Immediately under pressure from Marszalkowski. Fantastic fight, and this is for the race lead. Earlier race winner is now leading race number 2 as well. Fantastic restart by Moritz Chermey. It took him 1 lap and a couple of corners to snatch first from Jean-Bor Pinter, and now from Fabian Di Bionca. So Di Bionca earned that race lead and lost it immediately. And it's Moritz Chermey currently on course to another race victory, to complete a perfect Saturday. But there's still more than 4 minutes left in this race. A lot can still happen. So let's wait with premature celebrations. Moritz Chermey still has to do quite a lot of hard work with the defense. How about Balázs Hartmann? He was very close with Chermey at places in this race, but now he's lost quite a lot of ground after the restart. not really managing to position his car very well. István Bernula in that predominantly black car now on attack against Oskar Marszalkowski. They are fighting one another. Hartmann with damage. It looks like the front left wheel arch is, well, has snapped and is just flapping around. And back onto the start and finish straight. 2 laps from home, 3 minutes and a couple of seconds as we go across the line. This is good enough for 2 laps. And the fastest lap overall for Moritz Čermej, 2:00.7. Ester Nemeth launching an attack on Balázs Hartmann into the first corner. Great fight between the two, with Gábor Foraj waiting in the rears for his chance, and he's immediately sticking his car down the inside. There is also Márton Csúzi waiting. Čermej not really going away with it, but this is a fight and this is an overtake. Gábor Foraj coming ahead of Ester Nemeth. So up into 7th. Čermej, look at that, immediately trying to get away from everyone else, putting a little bit of a gap between him and the rest of the pack. Across the line, it was still just about half a second. Now it's definitely going to be at least twice as much. Go through the chicane into the right-hander through the Yas Marina section. István Bernula now coming under pressure. This is Oskar Marszalkowski having to choose the outside line into the chicane, trying a switchback, but not enough place there for it. It's through the chicane. And across the line we go into the final lap. Moritz Čermej already enjoying over a second of a lead. Di Bionca coming under pressure from Pinter. Fabian Di Bionca. Pinter trying to stick his car down the inside. Di Bionca left the door wide open. That may have been a mistake. And Pinter on the attack. Is he going to make it stick? Fantastic move down the inside and through he goes. Jean-Paul Pinter back into second. Great opportunistic maneuver. He exploited the mistake from the opponent and he's back up to second. Di Bionca coming under a lot of pressure from first Bernula, now even Marszalkowski. This is going to be a great fight all the way to the line, with Čermej trying to run away with it. And succeeding so far. And the time is up right now. This is the final lap of the race. Ooh. Braking really a lot from the inside, defending very hard is now Jean-Paul Pinter in second. From Di Bionca, Bernula, Marszalkowski, Balázs Hartmann down in 6th. Behind him Foraj and Nemeth. Nemeth, who started from pole position into today's race. Big fight for second. Pinter was coming under pressure from Di Bionca. They are side by side right now in the fight for second. This is Čermej, this is the race leader, but how about behind him? Let's stay with them a little bit longer. They are there in the background and it is Di Bionca through. Moritz Čermej, victorious earlier on in the morning, race number 1, victorious once again in race number 2 in the afternoon. So it's a full Saturday sweep for the local driver Moritz Čermej, making it 2 out of 2, and this is a perfect start to the 2024 season, having had to start from 8th on the grid into race number 2. What a race this has been, an absolute masterclass in the Suzuki Swift Cup Europe by Moritz Chermay on the opening Saturday of the season. Fabian Dibionka snatching that second place back from Jombor Pinter last minute in the dying seconds of the race. Jombor Pinter coming home third across the line, but look at the gap, 117 one-thousandths of a second between second and third. Fantastic race finale. Istvan Bernula coming home fourth from Oskar Marszalkowski, Balázs Hartmann P6, Gabor Foraj P7, Ester Nemet P8, Marton Chuzi in 9th from Bastian Frischmann, completing the top 10. Behind them Michael Mayer, Valentina Mayer, and then the 1.6 class being won by Zoltán Chuty, Boris Lisiecki in second, Milan Merk in third from Maciej Szubczynski, Josef Merk and Egon Burkush. We lost Ton Knappen and Vince Keller in the process through the incident between the two drivers that brought out the safety car. But what an ending to this thrilling race. Great stuff from the Suzuki Swift Cup Europe. We're looking forward for more. Of course, now we are awaiting the last piece of puzzle, and a big one, to top the Saturday's program here in the opening round in Balaton, which of course is going to be the endurance race starting, well, right after this race. And tomorrow we'll be back with the second race of Formula 4 at 9:30. After that, the TCR race, the Clio Cup race, the third Swift Cup race, and past the lunch break, another GT Sprint, Formula 4 race, a Twingo Cup race. So a lot of races tomorrow still. And this is the result of today's Swift Cup race number 2. And yeah, we'll be back very soon with the endurance.